15 years in landscaping has taught me one thing: the yards people assume cost a fortune are almost never the ones that actually did. I've walked properties where the owners spent six figures and the whole thing still reads as flat, and I've walked tiny courtyards where a homeowner spent a few $100s in exactly the right places and every single guest asked who their designer was. The truth most people never get told is that expensive-looking design has almost nothing to do with the size of the budget. It has everything to do with a handful of specific decisions that most homeowners simply don't know to make. Decisions that cost little to nothing once you actually know to make them. And one idea on this list, sitting at number 3, is the one single change I've seen transform a builder-grade yard into something that looks professionally designed faster than anything else in this entire industry. You'll see exactly what I mean when we get there. We've got 10 ideas to get through today, ranked from good to genuinely transformative. Before we start, hit subscribe, tap that like button, and share this with anyone who thinks a great-looking yard is out of their budget. It might change their entire plan. Let's start at number 10. 10. Committing to one repeated pot style. Instead of a mismatched collection, would you trust a room full of furniture where every single piece came from a different store, a different era, a different style entirely? That's essentially what a mismatched pot collection does to a small garden, and it's one of the fastest tells that a space was decorated piece by piece rather than designed all at once. Homeowners tend to accumulate planters over years, one from a garden center sale here, a gift from a relative there, a random find at a flea market. Individually, none of them are ugly. Together, they read as visual noise, because the eye can't settle on a consistent shape, material, or color palette across the space. The fix costs surprisingly little. Choose one pot style, one material, ideally in 2 or 3 coordinated sizes, and repeat it consistently throughout the space. Matte charcoal ceramic, aged terracotta. Whatever fits your palette, just commit to it everywhere. Repetition is what reads as intentional and expensive, even when every single pot itself was inexpensive. It's the same principle behind why a hotel lobby feels curated and a garage sale doesn't. I worked with a homeowner a couple of years ago whose entire patio was ringed with 7 different planters, different colors, different materials, collected over about a decade. We didn't buy anything new or particularly expensive. We simply consolidated down to one matte black ceramic style in 3 sizes, redistributed the same plants she already owned, and the whole space read as completely different within a single afternoon. Nothing had actually cost anything beyond the pots themselves. 9. Using large format pavers instead of small standard ones. Small standard pavers, the kind sold by the pallet at any big box store, do the job of covering ground. They rarely do the job of making a space feel elevated, because more joint lines packed into the same square footage reads as busier and cheaper, regardless of the actual paver quality underneath. The visual math here is simple once you see it. A patio built from 12-inch pavers has roughly 4 times as many visible seams as the same patio built from 24-inch pavers. All those extra lines fragment the eye and make a small space feel even smaller and more cluttered than it actually is, competing visually with the furniture and planting you're actually trying to showcase, instead of quietly supporting it. The fix is sizing up. Large format pavers, 24 inches or bigger, immediately read as more substantial and more considered, even at a similar material cost per square foot. Fewer joints, cleaner sightlines, and a small patio suddenly feels like it belongs in a much larger, more expensive space. If you're working with an existing small paver patio, and a full replacement isn't in the budget, even switching to a darker, more consistent polymeric sand between the joints can visually calm down a busy surface without touching a single paver. 8. Installing a single dramatic specimen plant instead of 10 small ones. 10 small, unremarkable plants scattered across a bed cost roughly the same as one genuinely striking specimen plant, and yet almost nobody chooses the specimen. That's a missed opportunity, because visual impact in a small space comes from having one thing worth looking at, not from filling every inch. Homeowners default to filling space because bare soil feels unfinished. The instinct is understandable, but a bed crowded with a dozen ordinary plants of similar size and texture reads as busy rather than lush, and nothing in it actually earns a second look, which is the exact opposite of what most people are actually trying to achieve when they fill a bed in the first place. The fix is restraint, paired with one deliberate splurge. Pick one architectural specimen, a striking ornamental grass, a sculptural small tree, something with real presence, and build the rest of the bed as a quiet supporting cast around it. One genuinely impressive plant does more for a small garden's perceived value than 10 forgettable ones ever will, and it's usually a fraction of the total cost of buying 10 separate plants in the first place. Quick reminder before we keep going, hit subscribe, tap like, and share this with anyone working with a small yard or courtyard this season. The next one is the single cheapest fix on this entire list. 7. Painting or staining the fence a deep, moody color instead of leaving it natural. An unfinished or naturally weathered wood fence is the default backdrop in most small yards, and it's also one of the biggest reasons a garden fails to look designed, because the eye never gets a clean, dark background for the planting to stand out against. Untreated wood ages to a pale, inconsistent gray over a few years, and that pale tone competes visually with everything planted in front of it instead of receding behind it. Greenery photographed against a light, busy fence reads as flat. The same greenery against a deep, saturated backdrop reads as lush and considered, because the contrast does the visual heavy lifting that the plants alone can't accomplish on their own. The fix is genuinely one of the cheapest upgrades available. A deep charcoal, matte black, or forest green exterior stain on the fence line does more for how expensive a small garden looks than almost any plant purchase could. The fence recedes, the planting pops forward, and the whole space photographs like something out of a design magazine for the cost of a few cans of stain and a weekend. It's consistently the first thing I recommend to anyone with a limited budget and a tired-looking fence, because nothing else on this list delivers as much visual change per dollar spent. 6. Adding low-voltage landscape lighting. Instead of relying on one porch light, a single porch light illuminating an entire backyard is functional. It's never going to look expensive, because flat, single-source light flattens everything it touches, stripping away all the shadow and depth that make a space feel designed after dark. Most small gardens never get seen at their best because nobody's actually planned for how the space looks once the sun goes down, which is genuinely half the year in a lot of climates. A beautifully planted bed that disappears into darkness by 7 in the evening is only doing half its job, and it means every dollar spent on planting only pays off during daylight hours, which is a fairly narrow window for most working households. The fix is a simple layered lighting plan. A few path lights along the main walkway, 1 or 2 warm-up lights washing a specimen plant or the newly painted fence from below, and the space transforms after dark in a way that reads as genuinely high-end. A modest low-voltage system runs a fraction of what most people assume, and it's often the single upgrade that makes visitors ask what the whole renovation cost. Keep every fixture in a warm color temperature rather than a cool blue-white, since anything reading too cool undercuts the whole effect instantly, no matter how well the fixtures are placed. 5. Choosing a monochromatic planting palette, instead of every color at once. A garden bed planted with one of everything, every color, every texture, every bloom time the nursery had available that weekend, feels generous in the moment and chaotic within a season, because nothing in it has been asked to work together. Color variety isn't inherently the problem. Uncoordinated color variety is. When every plant is competing for attention at once, the eye has nowhere to rest, and a small space especially needs somewhere for the eye to land, or it just reads as cluttered regardless of how healthy every individual plant actually is, and regardless of how much thought actually went into selecting each one. The fix is restraint in the palette, not in the planting itself. Choose 2 or 3 colors maximum, plus green as the connective tissue throughout, and repeat that same combination across the whole bed. A tightly edited palette reads as curated and expensive, the same way a well-styled room does, while a scattershot rainbow reads as accidental no matter how much money went into the plants themselves. If you're not sure where to start, pull your palette from something already fixed in the space, the color of your front door, your house siding, even a favorite piece of outdoor furniture, and build the planting around that anchor instead of choosing colors in isolation. Quick reminder, hit subscribe, like this video, and share it with someone planning their planting palette this spring. The next few are the ones that genuinely change how a whole space feels. 4. Adding a simple water feature for sound instead of visual drama. Most homeowners think about a water feature purely in visual terms. A fountain, a small pond, something to look at. The bigger opportunity most people miss entirely is sound, because the sound of moving water does something no amount of additional planting or hardscape ever can. It masks street noise, signals calm, and makes a small space feel genuinely private, even when it isn't. A tiny courtyard next to a busy street reads as exposed and unpolished no matter how well it's planted, because ambient traffic noise undercuts the whole atmosphere. The same space with a small, simple recirculating water feature tucked into a corner suddenly reads as a retreat, because the sound itself does most of the emotional work. The fix doesn't require a large pond or an expensive installation. A compact recirculating basin or a simple bubbling urn, plumbed to a small pump, delivers that same sense of calm and privacy for a modest cost. It's consistently one of the most underused tools for making a small space feel genuinely expensive, because most people never think to solve for sound at all. I've watched guests walk into a small courtyard, hear the water before they even fully register the planting around them, and immediately describe the whole space as peaceful, which is exactly the reaction a much larger, far more expensive renovation is usually trying to achieve. 3. Using one consistent hardscape material throughout the entire space. This is the single change I've seen do more for a small garden's perceived value than anything else on this entire list. And it costs nothing extra to plan for. It's purely a decision made before you ever start buying materials. Most yards accumulate hardscape decisions piecemeal over years. Concrete for the original patio, a different paver for a later path addition, gravel for a side area added on a tight budget, wood for a small deck section built separately. Individually, each material choice might be reasonable. Together, they fragment the space into disconnected zones that never read as one coherent design, no matter how much was spent on each piece. Here's what almost nobody realizes going in. Consistency reads as intentional, far more powerfully than any individual material's cost does. A yard built entirely from one paver material, carried consistently from the patio through the pathways to the seating area, reads as considerably more expensive than a yard with 3 or 4 different materials stitched together, even when the total material cost is identical, or even lower, because the human eye is reading coherence, not price tags. The fix is committing to one primary hardscape material before any installation begins, and carrying it consistently through every hard surface in the space, patio, paths, edging, everywhere it makes sense. If budget constraints mean phasing the project over multiple years, stick with the same material each phase, rather than switching to whatever's cheapest at the time. That single discipline is the closest thing to a design shortcut I've found in 15 years of doing this work. I've seen this play out in real time on a property where the homeowner had a concrete patio, a gravel side path, and a separate paver walkway to the gate, all installed at different points over several years by different contractors. None of it individually looked bad. Together, it read as 3 unrelated projects stitched into one yard. We replaced the gravel and re-poured the walkway in a paver matching the existing patio tone, and without adding a single new plant, the whole property suddenly read as one coherent, considered space instead of a series of separate decisions. If you take one thing from this video, take this. Perceived expense in a small garden almost always comes from consistency and restraint, not from the size of the budget behind it. Quick reminder, hit subscribe, like this video, and share it with anyone about to start a hardscape project this year. This one genuinely changes the whole outcome. 2. Framing the space with height instead of leaving it visually flat. A small garden with everything planted at roughly the same low height, foundation shrubs, a bit of ground cover, maybe a couple of perennials, reads as flat and undersized no matter how healthy every individual plant is, because there's nothing drawing the eye upward or giving the space any real sense of enclosure. Homeowners in small yards often avoid height intentionally, worried that taller plants or structures will make an already compact space feel even smaller. The opposite is usually true. A completely flat, low garden actually emphasizes how small the footprint is, because you can see the entire boundary of the space in a single glance, with nothing to interrupt it, which is exactly the sensation most people are trying to avoid when they call a space small in the first place. The fix is introducing vertical elements deliberately: a slim trellis with a climbing vine, a narrow upright tree, even a simple pergola over a seating area. Height draws the eye upward and outward, creating a sense of enclosure and depth that actually makes a small space feel larger and considerably more designed, the same way a tall bookshelf makes a small room feel intentional rather than sparse. Even something as simple as a single obelisk trellis with a flowering vine trained up, it can anchor an entire small bed and give the whole space a focal point it was previously missing entirely. Editing ruthlessly. Instead of adding more, here's the uncomfortable truth underneath everything else on this list. None of the first 9 ideas will actually work if the space is still cluttered with everything that came before them. The single most expensive-looking thing you can do to a small garden costs nothing to execute and is genuinely the hardest thing for most homeowners to actually commit to, and that's removing things, not adding them. Every small garden I've ever walked into that read as genuinely high-end had one thing in common, and it wasn't an unlimited budget. It was restraint. Every plant, every pot, every ornament in the space had clearly earned its place, and nothing was there simply because it had accumulated over the years without anyone questioning whether it still belonged or whether it still matched everything else that had been added since. The instinct in a small space is almost always to add one more plant to fill a gap, one more decorative piece to finish a corner, because bare space feels unfinished in the moment. What actually happens is the opposite. Every additional item competing for attention in a small footprint dilutes the impact of everything else already there, and a space with 15 mediocre elements reads as considerably less expensive than the same space edited down to 5 genuinely good ones, no matter what the original combined cost of all 15 actually was. The fix is a deliberate audit, walking your existing space and asking honestly, of everything currently in it, what's actually earning its place versus what's just been there so long nobody's questioned it. Remove anything that doesn't clearly contribute and resist the urge to immediately fill the resulting gap. That empty space itself is doing real work, giving the eye somewhere to rest and making everything you kept read as more considered and more valuable by comparison. This is genuinely the hardest advice on this entire list for most homeowners to actually follow, because removing something you already own feels like admitting a past purchase was a mistake. It rarely is. Most of what accumulates in a small garden was reasonable at the time it was added. The problem isn't any single item, it's that nobody ever went back and asked whether the collection as a whole still made sense together. That one honest walkthrough, done with genuine willingness to remove things, consistently does more for how a space reads than any single purchase on this list. If there's one principle to take from all 10 of these, it's this. An expensive-looking garden isn't the result of an expensive budget. It's the result of consistency, restraint, and a handful of specific decisions made deliberately instead of accumulated by accident over the years. The smallest, most modest yards I've ever worked on have looked more polished than some genuinely lavish ones, purely because someone was willing to edit rather than simply add. If your own small space has felt like it's missing something despite the money you've already put into it, you're not alone, and the fix is very likely one or two of the ideas on this list, not a bigger budget. Start with whichever one feels most doable this weekend: the fence stain, the pot consolidation, the lighting layer, and build from there. But before you spend another dollar out there, you need to see the backyard mistakes quietly costing homeowners even more, and that video is right here. Hit subscribe, like this one on your way out, and I'll see you in the next video.